Hello friends, you are welcome to yet another very interesting and educative video from your one and only sewing tutorial designed by Tola. Thank you so much for stopping by. I appreciate you a lot. Alright, so in today's video, I'm going to be taking you through the journey of cutting and stitching this jumbo baggy jean pants. Alright, I decided to make mine unique and different by using a jean material to make my style, and as you can see, this came out so beautiful and nice. I was just feeling myself all through. In fact, the camera is not even doing enough justice to this beautiful design. So if this feels like what you want to learn how to make yours, then hit on the subscribe button, like this video if you find it helpful, and also share on your platforms. Thank you. As I said earlier, that I'm going to be using a jean material. Alright, so this is a jean material and you're going to be folding it into double folds just like this. Now we're going to go on to put in all our measurements now for the front piece, and I'm going to be using this side as my waistline. That is because this side of my fabric is very smooth. Alright, but if the side of your fabric is not smooth, I'll advise you draw a line, just a basic line, and use that line as your waistline and as a starting point for all your measurement. But since this side of my fabric is smooth, so I'm just going to go on to take all my measurements and to use this side as my waistline. All right, so the next thing to do now is I'm going to be measuring from my waistline down to my hip line, and I'm going to place a 1.5 inch like this on this waistline, and I'm going to take my hip measurement from there. And why am I doing this? That is because this part is going to have a waistband, all right, a 2 inches waistband. So I'm going to replace that waistband with my tape measure, and I'm going to do that with 1.5 inches. So which means that I'm going to place 1.5 inches here at my waistline here to signify and represent the 2 inches waistband that's going to be attached to the waist. All right, so from that point now, I'm going to measure down to my hip, which is 9 inches. So I'm going to mark my 9 inches here like this. Now the next thing I'm going to do is to measure and mark my crotch line. All right, so from my hip line here, I'm going down to my crotch line. For a basic fitted pant, for my crotch line, I'm going to come down by 2 inches or 2.5. That depends on the size of the individual, but because this is a baggy pant, which means that it's going to be free than a fitted pant, I'm going to be adding an extra 1.5 or 2 inches to that measurement. All right, so which means that I'm going to come down from my hip line down to my crotch line with 2.5 inch, which is for a normal fitted pant. But since this is a baggy pant, I'm going to be adding 1.5 inches extra to that. So adding 1.5 to 2.5 inches, that gives me 4 inches. So from my hip line, I'm going to come down by 4 inches, and here is my crotch line. And guess what? This is just the measurement that you need. So I'm going to take the same measurement here as well, still maintaining the 1.5 inches out of this tape measure like this. I'm going to mark my 9 inches, and from my 9 inches I'm going to come down to 4 inches, and then I'm going to make this into a straight line. So here now signifies my hip line, and here signifies my crotch line. And so now after doing this, what I'm going to do next is I'm going to measure my hip measurement divided by 4. For me, that gives me 10. So I'm going to mark 10 inches here, and since it's a baggy pant, I'm going to be adding an extra allowance for the freeness. But this is a jean material, it tends to get bigger, all right, than an ordinary African print. So I'm going to be adding an extra 5 inches to this. You can add between 5 and 6 inches. It depends on what you desire, but for me, I'm going to be adding an extra 5 inches to this. If this material were an African print fabric, I would have added like 7 or 8 inches extra. But since it's a jean material, it's thick, or it's a thick material, all right, it's a thick textured material, so I'm going to be adding like 5 inches extra. So I'm going to measure this, and in total I have 15 inches. I'm going to measure this 15 inches here on my crotch line, and also I'll measure this 15 inches here on my waistline, and I'm just going to make this into a straight line like this. All right, and after doing this, now on my crotch line here, I'm going to come out I'm going to be giving it an a crotch extension, and I'm going to come out by 2.5 inches. All right, for my normal fitted pants I always do 2 inches, but because this is a baggy pants and you do not want your crotch to be rumpled or to be too tight, so that's why I came out by 2.5 inches for my crotch extension. I'm just going to blend this into this line I have here. All right, so don't blend it too much, just let it be a little curved like this, not too much curve, to avoid that rumpled effect. All right, so now the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to measure from my crotch extension down to this point, and in sum total I have 17.5 inches. So I am going to measure this 17.5 inches on the length of my fabric. All right, so for my pant, the length of this pant, I'm using 44 inches for the length, and I'm going to be adding an extra 3 inches to that. Reason being that I always love the hem of my pants to be thick, all right, and full. So I'm going to be hemming this with 2.5 inches, and I'm going to be using the remaining half inch to join the waistband to the waist. Now on the length of my trousers, I'm going to mark the same 17.5 inches I have here on the length of my trousers, and I'm just on the length of my pants, and I'm just going to roll this into and connect this to make for a straight line. And guys, basically we are done with the cutting of the front panel of this pants. This is how simple and easy it is. If you want just a little fitness, all right, I'm just going to come down to the waistline like this and measure 1.5 inches. You can do 1.5, you can do 1 inch, depending on how much fitness you want at the waist area. So for me, I'm doing 1.5. I'm just going to mark it like this, and I'm going to connect from this waistline down to my hip line using a straight line like this. So guys, this is basically all for the front piece. The next thing to do is just to cut this out. Simple. So the next thing is to place, after cutting out the front piece, so we're going to place it on the back piece like this, and then make sure that the back piece is like 2.5 or 3 inches wider than the front piece, and also make sure that the back piece is like 2 inches longer in length than the front piece. All right, so this back piece, now this is the back piece folded also into double folds, and this is the front piece on it. So we're going to be using our front piece to cut out the back piece. All right, now I'm going to be starting. So make sure you place your front piece on your back piece like this. Here is the folded part of the back piece, and here is the opened part of the back piece. Now I'm going to come up here by 1.5 inches, and that is because I have added an extra allowance to the crotch measurement already. This pant doesn't get too wide or too big, so we'll just add like 1.5 or highest like 2 inches at most to the waistline here. But for me, I added 1.5 inches, and I'm going to connect from this 1.5 inches down to my waistline here. So my waistline here to this 1.5 inches, and this is going to serve as the butt allowance. Right, as I said earlier, you can increase yours to 2 inches if you are the bigger size. If you have a bigger butt, you can increase this to 2 inches or even 2.5 inches. Now the next thing I'm going to do here on this side, I'm going to be adding 1.5 inches extra allowance, and that is what I'm going to do. If this fabric were to be an Ankara fabric or an African print fabric, I would have added 2 inches, but because this is a jean material, and as I said earlier, it's thicker, all right, so I'm going to be adding just 1.5 inches since I have added an amount of freeness to the pant itself, to the measurement of the pant itself. Now coming down to the crotch area here, to the crotch extension, I'm going to be adding an extra 2.5 inches to the crotch area here, and then I'm going to continue by adding 1.5 inches down to the length of this pant. So after doing all of that, I'm just going to make this into a straight line like this. Okay, and I'm going to connect this to my crotch extension like this as well, as you can see. Then I'm going to connect from this crotch extension down to the pant length like this, and then I'm just going to make that into a straight line all through to the length of my pant. So guys, now remember that there was a 1 inch that we actually cut out at the waistline here. I'm going to also mark it, and I'm going to be cutting out that 1 inch as well. And guys, this is simple. We have come to the end of the cutting of this pants. You can see how simple and how easy this is. So the next thing for us to do is just to stitch up. Now I'm not going to be adding a pocket to my pant. Why? Is because I want this pant to be different and I want it to be unique. So I am not going to be adding an inseam pocket to this pant. Even if I decide to add a pocket, I'm going to go for a cargo pocket, not an inseam pocket. All right, so I just decided not to. So if you want, you can as well put in pockets for yours. Well, for me, I do not want a pocket. So the next thing for us to do, guys, is just to cut this out. I'm going to be cutting out the back piece, and then when I cut out the back piece, we're going to start stitching. So the first step in stitching this pant is to stitch the crotch first. So you are going to stitch the crotch for the front piece together, and then you're going to be stitching the crotch also for the back piece together. So which means that the back piece, you're going to stitch both together at the crotch, and then the front piece as well, we're going to stitch both of them together at the crotch area like this. And I'm going to be using 0.75 inches to stitch down at the crotch area like this, both for the front and the back. So guys, after stitching down to the crotch like this for both the front piece and the back piece. So guys, after doing that, I'm going to open this up, both the back piece and the front piece, and I'm going to place them on each other like so. The right side of the back piece facing the right side of the front piece, and I'm just going to go over to my sewing machine, and I'm going to be stitching down at the sides with 1 or 0.75 inches depending on your preference. I'm just going to stitch down like so from this point down, and I'm going to do the same thing for your other side. So guys, here is it after stitching down with 1 inch on both sides. Now the next is for us to come down to this where we have our crotch, and then we are going to be stitching down both the front and the back piece from the crotch area like this. All right, you're going to be starting from this crotch point, and then you're going to stitch down one side like this till you get to the length, and then you're going to start again from this crotch length, from this crotch area. All right, and then you're going to stitch down to the other side, to the other length of the pant. All right, then you're going to measure the waist. You're going to measure the round waist to know the circumference of the waist. So just place your tape measure from the center of the front piece like this, and then measure round all through to the back, and then to the front until you get to the center here of the front piece where you started your measurement. So for me, mine is 48 inches, which means I'm going to cut a long material which is going to be 49 inches. Since I have 48 inches as my waist circumference, I'm going to cut a material which is 49 inches, and this material is 5 inches wide as well. Remember that we have 2 inches as our waistband, so the wideness must be 5 inches, so that when you fold this way and you stitch in with you attach with half of an inch to the waistline of the pant, you're going to be left with 2 inches, which is your band. All right, so that is why you need to make the wideness of this piece to be 5 inches, and then whatever you have as your waist circumference, you're going to be adding 1 inch allowance to that. Now that's been done, I'm going to join these two together at the ends like this, and then I'm going to go over to my sewing machine now, and I'm going to mark in 1 inch here. I'm going to leave a 1 inch space, and I'm going to mark. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going over to my sewing machine So I'm going to be stitching in, you know, I added 1 inch extra, so I'm going to be stitching in by 1/2 inch. So I'm going to stitch in 1/2 inch. All right, when I get to this point, I'll stop, and then I'll leave this 1 inch open. Then I'll come right here and come in by 1/2 inch as well, and then I'm going to stitch with 1/2 inch down like this. So only this 1 inch mark will be left open. So after stitching this down, this is the 1 inch opening that we have, the 1 inch we left. So this is the opening. Now you're going to open your stitch, open it up like this, and then you're going to fold in like this on both sides, stitch down, and then fold in on this side as well and stitch down. So after achieving this, okay, now you're going to be attaching it to the waistline of your pants. All right, so we're going to be starting from the center of the front piece, and then you're going to be attaching this to the center of the front piece, and then watch me how to do it. Now I'm going to be placing it this way, as you can see. All right, the wrong side of my front piece against the right side of the band. So I'm going to place it this way, and then I'm going to stitch round. Okay, so after I'm done with that, then I'm going to fold in this on it just like this, so that this hole we have created, this 1 inch hole we have created, is going to fall on the front piece, all right, at the center of the front piece, and it's going to be on the right side of your pants just like this. So when you're done stitching, this is how it should look like. The hole should be on the right side of your center piece like this, and then the rest of the band is attached to the rest of the waistline. So after attaching the waistband to the main trouser, you can see this is the hole here. This is our hole. Now what I'm just going to do now, I'm going to take my elastic band, and my waist measurement is 32. That is the circumference of my waist is 32, the round circumference. So for this elastic band, I used an elastic band of 25.5 inches. So I'm going to be passing this elastic band inside of this hole like this, and I'll make sure to secure this down here. So I'm putting the elastic band inside of this hole, all right, until it goes round and then comes out here at this side as well. So in order for me to secure this other hand, I'm going to just pin this other hand onto the pants just like this, and then passing the elastic band all through. To bring it out like this, okay, then I will join it together, take it to my sewing machine. I'm going to be stitching it down with 1 inch. Stop it. Then you're going to make a tiny hole like this. Just make a tiny hole, all right, and make it long, at least make it long to an extent. Then I'm going to be passing in this hole into, I'm going to pass this hole into this band, into the band of the pants, through this hole that we have here that we made. I'm just going to fix it in like this, and I'm going to make sure that it comes out, you know, from this other side like this. So you keep on, you fix it to a safety pin like this, and then put it inside and continue to drag it and continue to drag it while dragging your pant as well. So till you get to this point, and then you drag it out like this, all right, and that is how to pass in the rope into the band of your pants. All right, so guys, we are done with this tutorial. The last thing to do is to hem your pant. All right, remember that we added 3 inches to this. We've used 1/2 inch to attach the band to the waist. Now you need 2.5 inches. You're going to be folding it in to hem the trouser. So here is 2.5. I'm going to fold in 2.5 like this. Make sure that you fold in the 2.5 like this, okay? And so to do this, I'm going to be turning this inside out first. Okay, so here we have it. Now measure the 2.5. Here is the 2.5, and I'm going to, you can mark it. All right, you can mark yours. This is 2.5 here. Here also is 2.5. Okay, do the same thing here. This is 2.5, and here as well 2.5, and here as well 2.5. Okay, so I'm going to be folding in this 2.5 inches like this all through. All right, make sure that what you have folded in is 2.5 inches, and then we're going to go, and this is the last stage. Then I'm going to go over to my sewing machine. I'm going to fold in half of an inch inside like this all through, and I'm going to do that all through like that, folding half of an inch, folding half of an inch. All right, like that. And that is how to hem your pants, and you're going to do that for both pants. All right, you're going to do that for both. So here and here we have come to the end of this tutorial, guys. This is the end of the tutorial. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have, please give it a thumbs up. Do not forget to share, like, and also give your comment, and also don't forget to subscribe to this beautiful and wonderful channel. Till I see you in my next one, please have a great day. Bye.